It's the day after the Mauricio Dubon trade. Did you sleep good last night? Do you have an uneasy feeling in the pit of your stomach? Are you going to be okay? Well, we're going to talk about the reasons why it's going to be okay, Astros fan, because they're going to reallocate some of that money, and they did so today by signing Maldonado to a minor league deal. We'll talk about this and more on tonight's Locked On Astros podcast.
Buenos días, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chansey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. He is Brandon delCastillo, and we are the Locked On Astros podcast. Well, Brandon's here co-hosting with me tonight. But, guys, thank you for making the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. We're part of the number one, first of all, Astros podcast out there and the number one podcast network out there, Locked On. So thank you for making us your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to us. Go ahead and make us your first listen, Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. And pretty soon, everydayers, you're going to have the Everydayers Club that's going to be coming up. We'll talk about that as the details come in a little bit closer to the beginning of December. But we want to say thank you to all our everydayers. And Brandon, I know that we got a lot to talk about. And before we do that, this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So I know unless you've been sleeping under a rock or something, Mauricio Dubon was traded and for Nick Allen. And everybody's like, what the heck is going on here? Doobie, you can't trade Doobie. But we'll talk about some of the reasons why the Astros made this move and why he may not be the last player to go. And what are the Astros going to do with this money that they've saved? Are they just going to put it in their pocketbook, or what are they going to do with it? Also, we'll talk about likely non-tenders that could be possibly being non-tendered before tomorrow's tender deadline. So we'll talk about that. And also the Astros finally bring in a new catching coach. So all that's left is to bring in a new pitching coach. But first of all, Brandon, welcome back to Locked On Astros podcast.
Thanks, my friend. Good to be back and talking Stros with you.
Yes. So Mauricio Dubon, where were you when you first heard the news?
Oh, I was probably in my office reading and writing. But yeah, it was sad. It didn't completely shock me. Anytime you see a fan favorite go, it's not the best of news, but we will all miss Doobie. He's a World Series champion, and brought. I think he brought a lot to the clubhouse. I know he was close with Jordan, and he's just one of those guys, one of those glue guys that you really love to have on your team. Speaks English and Spanish well, really important guy to have. But I understand the money. I understand why it had to be done, and maybe you and I together can help explain the money aspect and how much money we did have tied up. We do have tied up in the infield.
Yeah, so definitely. I know Brett kind of explained some of this with his podcast last night, but we're going to go deeper into what the Astros saved and what they're possibly going to do. And yes, I did tease Maldonado. We'll talk about that a little bit later. It's not Martin Maldonado. We'll talk about who the Astros signed to a minor league deal a little bit later. But you're talking about the Astros have saved a lot of money. If you're looking at players they've already DFA'd or traded, you're talking about Mauricio Dubon, $5.8 million. Luis Garcia, they've already basically DFA'd, $2.2 million. Ramon Urias, he was set to make about $4.4 million. And then also Chas McCormick, I know another fan favorite, especially during the Chas Chomp days. That was a pretty epic time in Houston, but he was set to make about $3.4 million. So if you're looking at those four players, between them, they're set to make about $15.8 million. So if you're looking at the amount of money the Astros saved, they probably are about $26 to $28 million underneath the luxury tax threshold. And according to multiple sources, Channel Rome and other sources, the Jim Crane, we hear this every year, Brandon. It's like a broken record. We have to stay underneath the luxury tax threshold until trade deadline. Then all bets are out the window. Then he's like, we want to win. As long as I'm an owner, we're going to win. We're going to never underestimate the heart of a champion. Oh, sorry, wrong owner. So what do you think? Do you think that the Astros are done making cost-saving moves?
No, I would look at Enoli de los Santos and Jesús Sánchez as a couple other moves that are likely to happen. Jesús Sánchez had a lot of talent, but never really seemed to get going, never really seemed to fit in here. He would be a $6 million savings there. And so that's somebody I'm surprised. I would be surprised if he's still on the team in a week. I think there are some other spots we could look at to save some money, but those are two right there, just off the top of my head, which would save $8 million. And then you've got
8.6 to be exact.
Yes, you're
math teacher here.
8.6, and Doobie's going to save a little bit more than the number you said, because
Gold Glove,
after a second Gold Glove, this is going to be his third year in arbitration. So it was going to go up a little bit more than the 5.6 he made last year. The shortstop we got back, he was a Gold Glove finalist. He gives you that defense that you need in case something does happen to Jeremy Pena. But let's face it, he cannot hit. He can't run. He has no power. His OPS was his OPS plus was 40 or 50, somewhere around there. So we are not talking about somebody that can swing the bat. But he is a backup for that glove to play major league infield.
Well, if you're talking about what Dubon was supposed to make, according to MLB trade rumors, $5.8 million, and what Allen's supposed to make, $1.5 million, that's a savings of $4.3 million. And according to some rumors, if you listen to people like Brett H. Wellhouse, he said that Justin Verlander was seen in Houston hanging out with Joe Espada. So does that mean that they're talking about the framework of a proposed deal? I know that's more of a GM situation, but also you could, hey, dude, we want you back in Houston. We could use your leadership out in the rotation, and we're not asking you to come in to be the ace, but talking to the manager, especially in the situation where he knows he's not going to get the money that he used to command. So he wants to go where he feels wanted, and B, that he feels like he can still contribute. And if he feels like that's the place with the Astros, maybe that $4.3 million you just saved there in that transaction could be used for Justin Verlander there.
Yeah,
maybe with some incentives.
Yeah, earlier you were talking about we still need a pitching coach. Maybe there was some discussion about that in their meeting. Who would be the next pitching coach that's going to be hired? So, yeah, that's definitely something to keep an eye on. You're talking about probably a 1-year deal with JV for 12 to 15, somewhere in that range. Is he going to be somebody you can rely on in
that
September?
high? You really think Verlander's going to command that much money?
I think so.
Okay. I know 4.3 is a reach. He's probably not signed. It's going to cost him that much to move back down to Houston.
Yeah, but 1 year at 12. I think that's probably what you're going to
get. I know his market value, according to Spotrac, is about $8 million. So 8.4.
I'd love that. That would be amazing.
Yeah. But he's also a future Hall of Famer, getting his leadership back on the team, so you might have to pay a little bit extra. But what the Astros are doing, and I know that we'll probably have to talk about this in a second, the Astros are not going to just pocket this money and say, ooh, extra money for presents underneath the tree this year. That's not what's going on. I think Dana Brown has been given an order to upgrade other positions of more need than possibly utility infielders. So we'll talk about this and more on the Locked On Astros podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. Hey guys, thank you for making us your first listen, whether it's on YouTube, but let's go and talk about FanDuel. I know the Texans game is going on right now, and a lot of y'all would like to be at the game, wherever the game is, but right now let's talk about like getting into the action, and there's no better place to get into the action than FanDuel. It's the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game or want to ride the hot hand, maybe you missed the start of a game because somebody asked you to do a podcast at the last minute. FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine live bets into same game parlays for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making a late push like the Texans are. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel. It's the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen. Thank you to everybody that makes us your everyday listen on your way to work, on your way home from work, wherever it is. Thank you for becoming everydayers and helping us become the number one Astros podcast out there, and also the part of the number one podcast network out there. So I know we've been talking about the savings. Right now it's about $15.8 million with the 4 transactions that have been made. It could be more depending on what those players eventually settle for. But right now, you're talking about Jim Crane that for the past 2 seasons, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Astros have been over the luxury tax threshold. Last year, I think is still under debate whether they actually went over. I'm pretty sure they did, but I don't think the final numbers have been tallied yet, but likely they went over. So Jim Crane does not like having to pay those extra penalties and losing international pool money and possible draft picks and everything. So he wants to try to say underneath that was it 243 million or 244 million, whatever it is. But it's hard to do that when you already have so much committed to X amount of players like the Houston Astros do. And that's from winning a lot of games over the past decade and also having good players. So, Brandon, do you think that the Astros, we'll talk about what the Astros could do tomorrow. I know you kind of talked a little bit, but I'm going to kind of go through the list in a little bit, and we'll talk about who they can really non-tender and who's safe. But what do you think the Astros will really, really, truly do with this money?
Well, they need to get 2 pitchers. They need to get two starting pitchers, whether it's JV and obviously it's nice to dream about one of the other top pitchers on the market. I just don't think the Astros are going to have the money for it unless they are able to pull off another trade. The guy that you can look at that might have a target on his back for a trade would be our first baseman. So Christian Walker, he's making about $20 million a year. Isaac Paredes could slide over there. Altuve at second, Correa at third, Pena at short. So that's a way to save some money. Again, we talked about some of the other non-tenders and in Sanchez and De Los Santos, but those are the ones that come to mind immediately.
Yeah, so I just think that, and I think pretty much everybody is thinking that they're not just, this really isn't just a pure salary dump like a lot of us are thinking. Dubon was good for what the Astros needed when the Astros had injuries, sure, he stepped up. He played shortstop. He played third base. He played first base. Wherever you needed him in the outfield, he was there. And he'll probably do the same thing with the Braves. The Braves don't have a shortstop right now. So technically, as of right now, he is their shortstop. I'm sure they'll try to address it before the offseason's over, but they went ahead and did this. But he's going to be a free agent next year. Nick Allen is not. So this is a total Astros move to get somebody that has team control and to bring him in under a cheaper deal. And $1.5 million is a lot less than what Dubon was going to make. So I think what they're doing is they're just reallocating the funds. And like you said, I think there's too much buzz going around about Justin Verlander. I'm pretty sure he's going to be coming back. Possibly, I would say it's about 75%. I'm not going to even say it's 100% because until he signs on dotted line, I don't know. I'm not going to guarantee it's going to happen. But is it going to be Dylan Cease? Is it going to be one of those big names? Who knows? But if you do that, you're going to lose basically your PPI pick you got for Hunter Brown at winning the Cy Young. And so that's a bad thing about signing one of these big time names. It's not just the money, Brandon, but it's also losing that PPI pick. Yes, you're getting Framber Valdez's pick if he signs elsewhere, but you also have to give up one, possibly two picks if you sign a big time free agent because of everything, whether you're over the luxury tax threshold or not. So there's a lot going into what Dana Brown decides over the next week or so. And a lot
Eric,
of it has.
let me ask you this: you're going to be happy that they signed Dylan Cease, or are you going to be sad that they lost that number one pick?
Well, I don't know. Good question. Depends on how much it's for, how long, and is he going to be the 2025 version of Dylan Cease or the White Sox version of Dylan Cease?
That's the good question, right? Who's he going to be? And Michael King's another guy out there that should garner some interest from the Astros. Depending on how much. Ranger Suarez should be another guy, but I don't think you can base that off of what picks you're going to lose if you're going to get a great talent.
Yeah, so I know that Michael King is one of the guys that Brett keeps on pushing for, and I've always wanted him on the Astros staff. It just, I just don't know if the Astros can go out there and compete with the big name teams. And yeah, the Astros are not a small market team. I mean, technically they sort of are, but they have the payroll of a big market team. So I think that they can do it. It depends on how much more money they free up. And so if tomorrow's the deadline, for those of y'all that don't know what's going on tomorrow is the deadline to either tender a player, an arbitration eligible player, a contract, or non-tender them a contract. And so what that means is if you tender them a contract, you're obligated to pay their salary for the rest of the season. If you non-tender them, then they become a free agent and you're not guaranteed to pay their salary. So this is not the arbitration. This is not deciding what the salary is going to be. This is just deciding, hey, do the Astros love me or the Astros not love me, basically in that situation. So we've already kind of talked about a few players. We'll go ahead and take a break right now. And when we come back, I'm going to go ahead and go through all 12 names that are on the arbitration list that are still left on the team. I know we've talked about a few, but I want you to kind of give me your maybe your percent chance that they are tendered a contract. Let's just make it kind of keep it easy. But guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to us. Go and make us first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, go and check us out. Hey guys, if you want to get out to watch the Texans, the Rockets, the baseball once that starts, go ahead and check out Game Time. And NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle between queues, login screens, and prices jumping out jumping up at the checkout. It's just frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. And you want to, what you see is what you want to pay for. Trust me, I've been on some other apps, and it's not the same. So this app is just super simple, and I could see the exact view from my seat before buying it. You have the zone deals, and it's just cheaper, faster, and less stressful. We're all about less stress. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Game Time today. Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go and subscribe to us. Go and make us first listen, Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go and check us out. My name is Eric Huysman. He is Brandon delCastillo, the baseball lawyer on X, and we are the Locked On Astros podcast. Well, tonight I gave Brett the night off since he did the solo show yesterday, especially with the big breaking news. But I wanted, Brandon, I want to go and give you some names, and you go and give me your percent chance that they are tendered a contract tomorrow versus non-tendered. So let's start with Stephen Okert. He's due to make about $2 million. What do you think?
Man, that's a tough one. You got to start off with a hard one, huh? Yeah, I say yes.
Okay, give me a percent.
Well, I'm going to go either yes or no. So 100% is, I'll just go yes or no. We're going to keep it really easy.
Okay.
We're going to keep it really easy.
Let's go with Brian Abreu. That's
Yes.
a no, right?
100%.
De Los Santos. I know we already talked about that, but that's kind of iffy.
I'm going to say no.
You're going to say no? 2.1 million the Astros could save there?
Yep.
Isaac Paredes.
Yes.
Jesus Sanchez.
I think it's a mistake if they keep him. So I'm going to say no.
I think that there's actually trade value there. So if they're probably actively talking to other teams about a possible trade, because he does have value. I know what we saw from him as an Astro was not great, but there's a reason why the Astros traded for him in the first place. He is a left-handed bat. So I wouldn't be surprised, especially if they trade somebody else, we'll talk about in a second, if they keep Jesus Sanchez at just in case and maybe try to trade him, see what they can get for him. If not, what if he can have a bounce back season with the Astros? So
yeah, I just don't. I think I've seen enough over his entire career, not just with the Astros. He just doesn't make enough contact for me. I think he's got a lot of tools. He's got speed. He can play defense. Well, actually, I did not like his defense that I saw. But he has great power. But I think there's too much swing and miss. I'm not a big fan. I think it's a mistake to spend that type of money on him.
okay. What if they're like right before the deadline, they're working on a deal?
Well, obviously, if they're going to be able to get something back, great.
Okay. All right. The big one. This is big elephant in the room. He has 2 years of control left. Jake Myers.
Yes.
Okay. Do you trade him?
What's the salary?
$3.5 million.
No, he's worth that. And you just DFA'd. You just got rid of Chaz. So Jake Myers is your starting center fielder. He showed last year he can be a starting center fielder, and with his defense and his hitting is coming around. I know he had some injuries, but for 3.5 to have it, the kind of production that Jake Myers gave you in the first half last year, I think it's totally worth it. Jake Myers, starting center fielder for your Houston Astros.
What if Dana Brown, who's talked very highly of Zach Cole, what if he wants to give him a chance as an everyday center fielder?
I I don't have a problem with that, but you better have a backup that's got experience, and that would be Jake Myers. It's
Yeah,
not
so
going to, I just, you cannot get rid of Jake Myers.
so I think there's a lot of interest in both players. I think that both of them have 2 years of control left. I know that Sanchez is coming off a terrible year, especially with the Houston Astros. But when he came over from the Marlins, I believe he had a 110 OPS plus. So he was having a great year with the Marlins. And for some reason, he had a couple of good games with the Astros and just kind of went Tom Petty and started free falling. But he still has talent, only 4 years of experience. So Jake Myers, I think that if you're not going to trade him, you need to try to maybe figure out what you're going to do with him, because you'll be in the same situation next year. He'll have less value, and the Astros will probably trade him like they did Mauricio Dubon. So it's a matter of either try to trade him, or if they like him that much, then extend him to a team-friendly deal if possible.
You're a Zach Cole believer, Eric?
I don't know if I'm totally sold because it was such a small sample size, but I liked what I saw. I know he's susceptible to the slider, but a lot of young hitters are the breaking pitch. But what I saw, yeah. Have we seen him play a lot of center field? No, but he has played center field before. So who knows?
Yeah, I'm not willing to bet on it. I'd rather have Jake Myers.
Yeah, Dana Brown might be willing to bet on Jesús Sánchez rebounding. So it's just all based off what Dana Brown wants. So this next one's a slam dunk, Jeremy Pena.
Yes.
Next one is a super slam dunk, Hunter Brown.
Yes.
And I know on yesterday's podcast, Brett was asked, should they try to extend Hunter Brown? I'm not saying that they've missed their window, but pretty much they've missed their window, because as good as he did last year, his value has skyrocketed. It maybe before last season, if you would have reached out to him and tried to extend him before then, maybe you could have got the deal done. He's had 3 years of experience now. Do you see that the Astros reaching out for extension?
I absolutely they do. But we're talking about Scott Boras, and I think the Astros tried with Hunter Brown and Jeremy Pena to try to reach a deal. Jeremy Pena decided to instead the deal that they were negotiating to switch up agents and go hire Scott Boras. I think because once Boras got involved, it just neither of them were going to be able to get signed. But yes, of course, if you're the Houston Astros, you're going to reach out and at least ask.
Right. Yainer Diaz, I'm pretty sure, yes, they'll tender him a contract.
I hope so, or we need to find a stat.
They could be using
catcher anyways.
Yeah, they need a catcher anyway. Caratini, are you a Caratini believer?
I am. I've always been. I love Caratini when he came up with the Cubs. A big Caratini guy. So I think he's a perfect fit. I'd love to have him back.
Hayden Wesneski, I know that he's going to miss most of next year, recovering from surgery, but I'm pretty sure they'll tender him a contract, $1.5 million.
Yes.
Bennett Souza, $1.1 million.
Okay.
And this is the big one that's getting a lot of controversy. Taylor Trammell, only $900K, but can you get somebody else that can do what he does or do what he does better?
For $900,000?
Or less.
I don't know if the minimum is much less than that.
Yeah, I know.
I would say from what I saw, he's a yes for that price.
Okay. Yeah, I think that they'll probably bring him back. I've been kind of the same thing for that price. You might as well keep him. So that's pretty much all of them. The only ones we said no to is Del Santos, Sanchez, and I thought there was one other person we said no to. but there might be a chance that Myers gets traded. It all depends on what Dana Brown thinks, and like somebody said in the comments, what Jim Crane thinks. Because remember, Jim Crane is in control of the pocketbook, and he wants to get not only a left-handed hitter in, but they also want to add to the pitching rotation. So I know I teased this, so let me go ahead and talk about this. The Astros did sign Anthony Maldonado to a minor league deal. If you haven't heard of him, it's probably not a big issue. He pitched 19 innings in 2024. Last year, he threw 25 innings between the Marlins and the A's. Then he was DFA'd. He had a 8-something or 12-something ERA last year. So it's not a. This is kind of one of those things that the Astros tend to do, where they bring in a pitcher just to see, hey, what could happen if we get the right pitching coach. And I know you're talking about that earlier. So it was just too good to not tease it to start off the show. But the Astros also brought in a new catching coach, Tim Cousins. He was actually let go. I think he was with the Orioles. So when their manager was let go, he basically became a free agent available to be hired. So Tim Cousins is the new catching coach for the Houston Astros. So we'll have to see what his philosophy is catching-wise. Is he going to be able to help Yainer Diaz kind of improve his catching skills? And whoever the backup is, if it's Cesar Salazar or Victor Caratini or the field. So any closing thoughts, Brandon?
No, man, it's been a pleasure to get to talk some Stros with you again, and we will miss Doobie. You know that this is our goodbye to Doobie. Where him shaking his head, and he was always someone you could plug in and play and count on, that you knew you were going to get a good effort. Not a huge bat, but certainly major league quality, and could put a Gold Glover, pretty much 6 different positions.
Yes. So Brandon, once again, thank you for joining us, and guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Go and subscribe to us. Go and make us first listen, Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, and we will see. Brett and I may do a show over the weekend to talk about players that might have been non-tendered, or do a short show or something like that. But guys, we will see you later. And as Brett always says, go Stros. We'll see you later.
Go Stros.
Are the Texans losing still?
I don't know. I've been in here with you.